Hello, friends. So good to be with you today. A few years ago, my daughter Ashley, she set a very bold goal for herself. She wanted to complete the full sequence of marathon distances. Now, that's the 5K, the 10K, half marathon, and then the grueling 26.2-mile full marathon. And she wanted to do all of that in a single calendar year. In one single calendar year, she wanted to do all of those. And I'm I have run a 5K before, and it wasn't anything to brag about. So I was so impressed that she wanted to do this, and she had worked literally all year long for this. I mean, it's a monumental task for anybody. I don't care who they are. But Ashley isn't just strong; she is so determined when she sets something in her mind like this, and she follows through. I don't care if it breaks her. And so the day come that she was going to be in this marathon. She had run through the entire year. She had gone through the 5K. She had gone through the 10K. She had done the half. And the final leg of this year-long commitment was the full marathon. And this was scheduled in December. It was actually at the end of the year. And this was at Bryan College Station, Texas. And it was not a good day. It was cold. It was rainy. It was like the mid 40s. It was very cold, really. And it's gray. It wasn't ideal running weather, but the race doesn't reschedule for your convenience. What an incredible metaphor that we have right there for life. Well, she began to run the race. She started the marathon, the 26 miles, and a few miles in, her shoes and her socks, they were soaked, and it was just from running through standing water, puddles. I mean, because so much water was standing at that particular time, and it was so cold that she just got to where she couldn't feel her feet. And it wasn't just from the pain, but from the numbness that settled in, and then came the pain. Because here's what happened: before the race, she had wrapped her ankles with KT tape, trying to set up for support. But the rain had turned that tape into kind of a weapon against her. I mean, it began to roll, it began to water up under the arch of her foot. And since her feet were numb, she really didn't realize something was really wrong until about mile 5. But then she had already formed a deep blister. The damage had already begun to be done, and she didn't know how bad it was. That she just knew that something was wrong, and it seemed to be getting worse. By mile 11, it was getting so bad that she knew she was in trouble. I mean, every step, pain was shooting up through her legs. She began limping, alternating between walking, between running, and the finish line wasn't even in sight. And already her body was saying, "We're done. You are not going to be able to finish this." But then something wonderful happened. Someone showed up. Her name was Shonda Tompkins. Now, Shonda, she had run many marathons in her lifetime, and she knew exactly what it meant to hit a wall. And she joined Ashley at about mile 14. Now, this was what was very important. She didn't come to run her own race. She just came to help someone else finish theirs. Wow, what a life lesson that is. She didn't come to run her own race. She just came to help somebody else finish theirs. So what she did, she bandaged Ashley's foot, and she didn't mock her pace. She didn't minimize her pain. She just simply came to run alongside. Shonda knew what Ashley didn't know in that moment, and that was that the last half of the marathon is much more mental than it is physical. So Shonda just kept her moving, pacing her, encouraging her, refusing to let her stop. While not pushing too hard, she just kept saying, "Come on, we can make it." And here was the problem. It wasn't just the fact that they were running the 26 miles. They were having to do that within a certain time frame. See, because what happens is it doesn't matter the miles. There's also you're up against the clock. And if you finish the 26 miles, but you don't get there within that certain time frame and they close the gate on you, you didn't finish the race. And so that would be horribly disappointing, especially for her after the entire year of working for this. I remember I was sitting at a restaurant in Bastrop, Texas, and I was just paralyzed because I heard she was in trouble. I didn't know where she was. I didn't know how bad it was. I just knew that it looked like she wasn't going to get to finish. I was so disappointed, not in her, but I was just disappointed for her. because I knew all that she had done to try to get that to get that taken care of, and it just wasn't looking good. So they made it together. One of the most wonderful things, I remember sitting there in that restaurant. I I got a call from Angie, and she said the people came up. They were going to close the gate. And they were just literally, the gate was like in motion, and around the bus came Shonda and Ashley. Now they weren't running fast. Well, Ashley was kind of limping. They were running pretty slow, but they got through and they stepped across through the line just as the gate was closing behind them. Wow, I was so relieved. I was so happy for her. I really was. And I've thought about that story 100 different ways. But this is what stands out to me most, because I think this is how this relates to life. Ashley finished the race wounded. She wasn't running at her full steam. She was wounded, but she finished. You know why? Because someone came alongside. Wow. Isn't that amazing? She finished because someone came alongside. So you're going to have to understand something. Life is not a solo sport. You may think, I've got it all together. I can run this race. I'll take care of myself. But you really weren't designed to do that. We need one another. There are stretches when you're strong and you're sure-footed, but there's other times when you're barely putting one foot in front of the other, and you know that's true. And what determines whether we finish often comes down to one thing: relationships. That's the truth. What determines whether we finish very well often depends on the people that's around us or not around us. Relationships. God never intended for you to run this race alone. He just didn't. In fact, relationships, I'm just going to say it this way, I think are among the most important gifts that God gives us. When he wants to bless your life, he sends someone into your life. Now, that's the truth. Stop and think about it. All the movement of your life, even though the blessings come from God, it always comes through people. And when the enemy wants to sabotage your purpose, 9 times out of 10, you know what? It's because of my relationship with so-and-so. That's the truth. Every movement in your life, whether good or whether bad, flows through relationships. And that's why it's so important that you be surrounded by the right people. There's 4 kinds of people: those who add, those who subtract, those who multiply, and those who divide. You got to know who are the people, who is the person who speaks into your ear in times of transition, in times of trouble, in times of need. And at time when you need someone, when you're facing someone, you need someone that's going to come alongside you and help you. You know, the Bible speaks of the Holy Spirit being the Parakletos, the one who comes alongside. And have you ever noticed that the Holy Spirit doesn't run your race for you, but he helps you. He strengthens you. He bandages your wounds. He encourages you to get up. He matches your pace. That's not just theology. That's a template. It really is. You know, we're meant to model that in our friendships. We're meant to model that in our marriages, in our ministries, because we weren't made to run this race alone. And neither was that person that's been running next to you. So here's a question that I want to ask you right quickly. Who's running their race right now in pain, exhausted, discouraged? Who's running their race just trying to survive, who needs you to run alongside them? Do you know how important that is? And if you're the one that's feeling like you're at mile 14, just trying to hang on, don't believe the lie that you have to finish alone, because you don't. Now, it could be that something as simple as just this podcast right now that you're listening to, maybe this moment is your Shonda that's whispering, come on, you're closer than you think. I'll walk with you. I want to help you. Well, that's what I'm here for, because you're not meant to run your race alone. And maybe you're the one that's hurting. Maybe you're the one that you've got blisters on your feet and you've been through these horrible things in your life. And you're thinking, how am I ever going to make it? How am I ever going to finish my race in a quality time? And if that's so, don't despair. Don't isolate. Don't be try to be a hero by going to hide someplace, because I promise you there's someone somewhere that'll bandage your feet. They'll match your pace. They'll help you across the finish line. They'll be there for you just as the gate is closing. And if I could just reiterate it this way, is the fact that we're not meant to let others run their race. There's times when people around you, you can see them, they're limping, they're wounded, they're hurt. So let me ask you this: who's running their race right now? Injured, exhausted, about to give up, who needs you to run alongside? You know, you may not be able to do everything, but you know what you can do? You can encourage them. Do you know what that means to encourage someone? That means to put courage, to make an impartation of courage in someone who has lost their courage. They've lost the strength. I don't know that I can go on. And all of a sudden you come alongside and you begin to say things to them and pray for them and strengthen them and match their pace. And all of a sudden you're imparting courage. You're encouraging them. See, that could be you. And so you're the one that helps them finish their race well. And it's so important. My goodness, that's what life is made up. We're all running our race. Paul made the statement. He said, I fought a good fight. I finished my course. I kept the faith. He said, I ran my race. I ran my race. We all have our race to run, but God help those who have to run alone. So I just encourage you to embrace this. If you need help, we can get you help. But if you look around and you see someone that's in trouble, you can be their help. You can run alongside them. All right. Until next time, I want to say this to you. Keep running. Keep running. And don't run alone. Don't run alone. You got a race to run. Okay? Let's go for it. Come on. Let's get this job done. God bless you.